All right, guys, welcome back to the TRE live show. This is episode 42. 42.
Dang.
And we have a lot of things in store for you today. We're getting better and better at planning these out. So today we're going to talk a lot about coming back from injuries. We hope that you're not injured, but if you are and you're facing little like kind of annoying points of tension, pain, frustration, disappointment, we're going to talk about all of that because you and I have been definitely no stranger to injuries ourselves.
I know.
Yeah, in fact, you might say that the running experience was born out of injury.
And disappointment. In fact, I'm disappointed every day.
You know what? Here, have a snack.
I know. And now I'm not disappointed anymore because I get blood sugar.
Would you like some...
hangry is a thing.
Freshly
I don't know.
ground almond butter?
Freshly ground almond butter.
That's about $1 a scoop right there.
Thank you, venture capital backed almond butter.
I bought this at Whole Foods. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I just shouldn't do anything. So, guys, we have our snacks. We have our topic. We're ready to go. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah.
If you are signed in and this is your first time, let us know it's your first time on a live show with us. If it is not your first time, regardless of what it is, whether it is or not, we love to hear where you're signing in from. And so just chime in. We got a lot of people chiming in.
We already got a bunch of people
Tanae from Hampton, Virginia. Hey, Tanae, good to see you again.
Hans Klopak.
Hans Klopak.
Injured myself 4 days ago.
I saw
IT band will watch. We got you, dude.
Fantastic.
Jeff Wiley's chiming in. Dustin, Leela, Rich from Ottawa. Carrie, what's up, Carrie? How you doing? I know the weather is better in a few areas. We're seeing a little sun right now.
If you can see how much sun is on us right now, it's because it's reflecting. Sorry, I ate apple and peanut butter at the wrong time.
I know. But anyway, we have a fun giveaway this week. First of all, for those of you guys who were around last week, we were giving away Jonathan Beverly's really awesome informative book, Your Best Stride. I've been digging into it, and not only does it confirm a lot of the things we teach, which is sort of gratifying, but he does a really good job digging into the different aspects of why we have come to think the way we've thought about how we move our bodies and running. With running shoes, getting into like the minimalism debate, like there are some things that were good there, maybe not everything was great there. So one of you guys, we're going to do the drawing from entries last week. We're going to do the drawing at the end of the hour, and then this week you can enter in to win a pair. Where are my headphones? Here we go. A pair of Outlier One wireless Bluetooth headphones. Yep. And a vintage, one-off design, never going to be designed again, the Run Experience t-shirt.
These are nice and soft. These are some of my favorite ones.
I love these shirts. I run in them all the time. I put in this wash a million times. It hasn't faded or disappeared. Like, I'm going to wear this shirt till I die.
You run in them because you like running in cotton.
I do, because it feels soft and smooth. Tech tees are dumb. And I only wear tech tees. Those are my beliefs.
I only wear tech tees. I cannot stand. You know what?
I bought techteesardumb.com.
People who wear cotton have never had to run in Houston.
Oh man, that's true. That's fair.
I spent the majority of my running miles, probably still to this day, the majority of my running miles occurred in the city of Houston. I don't recommend it.
You do not recommend it. Well, speaking of Houston, we have our Surf's Up 5K, and that actually has nothing to do with Houston. Yeah, I just wanted to segue. As one of the entries to get into the wireless headphones and the t-shirt, you can go ahead and check out our Surf's Up 5K registration page and win this medal. I'm going to get a little closer, so it might blur out a little bit, but just so you guys can see this guy a little bit better. This event is happening next weekend. You can register for $29.
There's a link below in the description as well.
Yeah, to go ahead and get it. And we're all going to be doing it worldwide. There's already about 500 you runners already registered. We're super stoked for that. And you can also get a free month of training with us, so pretty good deal.
Yep. So excited about that. We are actually going to be camping together next weekend.
We are?
Yeah, we're going to do our 5K on the road. And we're very excited about, I mean, we've been planning this for months and months, so this is a great thing.
Super fun to do.
Now, you guys got a lot of questions coming in, I can see already. Guys, first of all, just thank you for signing in. This is we were just talking about this morning. This is like one of our favorite parts of the week. We get to do this. It's become just a regular part of our lives, and you really too. So it's been great.
I'm gonna move this over here a little bit. So you know, this is going to be a great conversation. A lot of you guys have questions. Just to get a few things out of the way.
And we do have our hotline available.
We do have our hotline available for
the
calls.
Numbers below. We don't have a guest speaker today.
You just really jumped in right to what I was going to say.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
That's like...
And what I was going to say also as was that despite Craig's Gmail address, we are not internet doctors, and we don't play them.
I don't want to say my Gmail address.
I don't want to share it either.
It has something to do with being an MD.
There was some intention there. And but we're not internet doctors. What we are run coaches, and we can share your experiences with you. For any of you guys who are physical therapists or who are doctors online, you know, we would love to, you know, connect you guys with our runners in whatever way. We're sharing our experiences, good practices around movement and strength, but you know, we have to stop short of actually diagnosing your guys' stuff.
That's right.
If that's a deal, we can move forward and dig
you can
into
call
stuff.
in.
And you can call in.
Yeah, so
this is actually a great one to call in.
We're gonna actually keep the hotline open. Usually we only have it open for a segment because we have like the last couple times we had a guest author or contributor calling in. But we'll keep it open, so if you call in, we will hear you and you will hear yourself. So feel free to take advantage of that. Meanwhile, let's get into it. Yeah.
So
totally.
A lot of great comments. I just want to go through a few of you guys who've already chimed in, and then we'll kind of pick and choose for a few one. Jeff Wiley says, the past 2 years have been a huge setback for me. Plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, and now resting from minor concussion, non-run related. Tone says, crossing fingers, not injured, but I'll watch every Thursday show. Dustin says, I can't seem to get rid of a nagging anterior shin splints. Leela says, broke my toe, XD chasing pigeons, not running, so this streaming comes right on time.
Wow.
I know, right? Jeff is also first time in the live show from Indianapolis. That is awesome. BJ Rainbow, hey guys, good morning from Australia. Listening in live for the first time, currently trying to come back from injury and learning the art of managing workload.
Awesome.
We hear you there. So many good things. Dave says, TRE in the house from OKC. The Paul 43, first time from Alameda, California, our neighbors, right not that far away. First time want to be serious, who has shin splints from going too hard. You know, the first set of those little early aches and pains when you step up your running game are real. Brent says, what's up, Ohio? 6 inches of snow. Now it's almost 50 degrees. Wait 5 minutes. We'll change again. So many good things. So we get a lot of good stuff here. Where do we want to start?
I can talk about my personal thing right now, which is shin splints.
Yeah.
So
we as he's chewing
is not a good thing to do on a live show.
We get this stuff all the time. Like, a lot of people might have the perception that because we talk about running and strength and form and injuries that we never get injured ourselves. That is not true. In fact, a lot of the reasons why we talk about all this stuff is because we both have a history with it, and we've had to really dive into the weeds and figure out what has worked with us. And you know, fortunately, through struggle comes some good stuff.
And I think the main thing for me now is that it used to be that when I had an injury, I would sit and hope that it went away, and I would take some days off. And like,
what would the hoping it went away look like?
It would look a lot like bending down and like stretching a little bit like there, and like stretching a little bit here, and be like, does it hurt? Oh, it still hurts. Okay, I can't run today. All right, hopeful tomorrow. And then tomorrow I like stretch again, and I like test out the ankle, test out the like.
So you'll kind of like poke and prod it.
Yeah,
you know,
just poke at it. And now I have like a suite of tools that I will attack it with that actually has some strategy behind it, and it feels a lot more like it's part of my training as opposed to something that is preventing me from my training.
I think a key word you just said there was strategy, as opposed to randomly just pushing at things. And I think that's so hard with all runners, is that when they don't feel they have a strategy, they feel lost. They don't really know what to do, because it's not for lack of motivation that you guys aren't helping fix yourselves, it's because you just don't know where to go.
Right.
So
I can talk about my
so please.
Shin splints started. Hadn't had them for a long time, but we actually did that 50K race in November, and toward the end of the training, I was starting to feel the back of my right Achilles just like sore. It was like perpetually sore, and in between our runs, it really wouldn't fully recover. But we had the race coming up, and we had everybody coming in town. I'm like, okay, I gotta push through. In reality, because the race was important, I pushed through knowing that, hey, this is gonna be probably cause something. I didn't realize how long it was gonna last afterwards, and for the first couple months, like, because it was a long race and I was kind of tired of all the training, I really wasn't into like pushing back into training at that point in the year anyhow. So I was like, you know, whatever. I won't put a lot of attention on it. We were busy from a work perspective.
Yeah.
Now, coming into like January, February, I was like, I kind of want to start running again, but I still have this nagging thing. And what I discovered was that
what's interesting is that time alone, it didn't go away.
Didn't go away. And I knew that. I knew I had to put time into it, but at that point in time, I wasn't trying to run a lot.
That's an interesting point, guys. Sometimes when we give ourselves long rests, there is a moment where we can let some of that inflammation die down, but a lot of times it doesn't go away just from time. Like we have to do something.
Yeah, because the cause was still there. And the thing about it is when I wasn't running as much, my hamstrings would get tight, you know, and I was going to the gym and I was still working out and everything. And what I have found is that my shin splints are actually, it's a chain of things, which we talk about a lot. And for me, it's the posterior chain. And what happens is my hamstrings get tight. And if I don't work on my hamstrings continuously, that basically is like a rope where the weakest link tends to be right above, like in my soleus.
Yeah.
Right above my Achilles. And so, is that my soleus? No, that's my...
Yeah.
Yeah, soleus, right. And so, once my soleus gets like tender, then it turns into a shin splint. So it's the ending thing that will stop me from running is a shin splint. Because the hamstrings don't actually stop me from running. They just feel tight. And so in order to alleviate that, I have to work on the soft tissue on my soleus, but then that does not stop it from occurring. It just kind of alleviates some of the pain for maybe that day or that week. But if I increase my mileage at all, it gets jacked again. And so what I've found is that what I need to do as I kind of increase my mileage is, one, I have to continue running because it is the running that actually allows my hamstrings to be strong enough so they don't tighten up.
Right.
Right. So if I'm not running, when I do go run, it's a lot of work on my hamstrings, and then all of a sudden they tighten up a lot, and then I have this problem. So I have to increase my mileage slowly.
But there's a way that we talked about your running, because before, what were your running habits? What would you like to do, and like what have you since started to do?
In terms of like
how long you ran, how fast you ran, things like that.
Right. Like when I like to go out, I like to do 8 miles and like at a fairly like
at a good clip.
Good clip.
So that was like Craig's kind of like baseline run. Like we all have our baseline workouts is what I'm getting at. That is emotionally as satisfying as it is physically satisfying. And you go and you're like, man, I got my 8 miles in, I feel good. And it could be 3 miles, 4 miles for me. You know, my baseline run is like 5 to 6.
Yeah.
If I feel like if I go under 5, sometimes emotionally that's a little hard.
And if I do like 3 or 4 miles, I feel like, what's the point of even putting my shoes on?
Right.
Like, why even do that? Because it's not a full workout. I like kind of feel like I'm getting sweaty, but then I come home and I'm just like, well, it's like a 30-minute, 20-minute thing, and like, yeah.
But as part of your strategy, what have we started to focus on?
I started to slowly increase my mileage, so I do like a 2 mile.
So you backed off from 8 miles,
backed off
and
completely.
You started at like 2.
Yeah, 2 miles where I would just like around the park and then see how that, like how much work did I have to do on my hamstrings and my soleus in order to keep myself injury free with that. And it turned out I couldn't not do something. I had to do something. And then I realized, oh, as my legs got stronger, my hamstrings wouldn't get as tight.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go into the details, but basically it was a kinetic thing, and it was a strategy of figuring out, hey, and now like I'm running a decent amount, and I'm not having, I still have to work on this stuff because I'm not fully out of the woods yet, but I feel so much happier because I'm not hoping.
Yeah. So guys, this is so important. Like, you guys are all asking questions in the comments right now, like, yeah, but what about my specific situation? And the thing that we can really share with you is this bigger picture understanding of how to understand how these different things come up and how to deal with them going forward. So one of the things that, you know, Craig did a really good job of adapting was like getting rid of this all or nothing approach that we all have a little bit. Yeah. We get into our habits about our workouts, and all of a sudden if we can't do this, we would rather do nothing than 2 miles.
Right.
But that consistency is so big in his case. And then what he also got to do was it got him back in like the runner mindset again. And the more you run, I know you do a better job of taking care of your body.
Yeah.
You start to mobilize more. I'm the same. And then what you can also start to do and think about is like, well, 2 miles really doesn't cut it for my workout today. So I'm going to do my regular strength workout, but then I'm going to add the 2 mile run after.
And what I started doing was, instead of going to the gym in the morning, and the gym has like a social element, there's a group there that I work out with every morning, so it's nice to do that. So what I would do is I start my, I'll go get that, hang on.
We got a visitor at the door, a package.
Thank you.
And Nora's gonna bark a little bit. Oh, you're back already. So good. So
anyhow, I was saying that I'd go on a run and then I would end at the gym and then spend like 20 minutes working, you know, not actually really working out, but really working on my mobilization. And it would make me feel like, okay, I had like a good solid hour workout.
Yeah.
And that was mostly about just managing my own expectations.
Totally. Now, I want to share this, guys. We posted this video on Monday. This was like kind of a very personal video of me sharing.
You want to just share that? I can put it
in my Achilles injury. Yeah, I'll share that with you as well so you can see it.
Yeah.
And
I can see it right here.
You know, some of the things that I'm, you know, working on myself. With a lot of this work that Craig was, a lot of things that Craig is talking about, like what are the self-care treatment and strategies you can do. But there are times where we have blind spots, like we don't always see what's happening because like Craig was fortunate to understand the relationship between his hamstring and his shin splints. But like, what if he tried the hamstring and it didn't work?
Yep.
Like, what would you have done then? And sometimes that's when it is good to go see someone. And so I was having some issues with my calf and Achilles. I was throwing a bunch of stuff at it. I was able to manage it in the respect that I could keep running, and I was able to kind of survive this period of heavy training for the North Face 50K last fall. But sort of like you, it was like, it's not getting worse, but it's not getting better.
Right.
And I found in the months afterward, like I could run in the 15 to 25 miles a week, but it was always a little cranky. And I'm like, I gotta nip this thing and get over this thing overall. So I've started to see a friend of mine who's a chiropractor, and I just wanted a second set of eyes on me. And one of the things I wanted him to look at was my hip and pelvic position. I wanted to look at my posture, just kind of how things move and function. And he found, you know, a little bit of junkiness in my left hip. So we started working on that. And again, I'm talking about an Achilles injury. He's working further up on my hip. So the injury is not always where it actually started, right? It's only the symptom. You're thinking about this, but what's really happening is something back here that, as I said, it's in your blind spot. You don't know. So that second set of eyes was great. And then there are times when other tools can be useful. For example, you have what's the eStim device? The Mark Pro.
The Mark Pro, we got the boots. I've been actually using
the CTM band.
The CTM band. If you guys have not seen this out, CTM.band. It's by our own old friend Cobb Bowling. He created this, and it's basically compression and it puts some pressure on the muscle. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Tony says, Nate, I watched the video and it is very good. Overall, at least, what we can have an idea what do if we are injured, or at least make some recovery after a long run. There is going to be a part 2, if I understand that question correctly, which I'm showing a lot of the home remedies that I can try. But I wanted you guys to show you that relationship. Now, there is a caveat when you guys see someone, and this is something that Craig and I have been thinking about and talking a lot. Are you still playing this video in the background?
Do you want me to play it?
We could probably just...
I went back. I went back from it.
Yeah, we'll go back to the regular. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, the other thing is, like, just because you see someone, it doesn't let you off the hook. You know, sometimes when you go to see a physical therapist, you're like, "Fix me, clown."
Yeah.
You know, and like physical therapists have a very important job. Chiropractors have a very important job, and they can do things that you can't do on yourself. But they cannot fix you because they can't compete. The 1 hour they spend with you a week cannot compete with the other 167 hours you spend doing stuff for yourself.
Totally.
How you eat, how you drink, how you sleep, how you move, the other mobility habits, like all of that stuff, guys, is so important.
Absolutely. And I think that is the temptation, is that you release responsibility once you go see a professional. And if anything, it should be the opposite, in that the professional should be helping you guide where the real healing, which is what happens when you're at home, when you're running, and when you're actually planning out the rest of your life.
Totally.
And that can be either, it doesn't have to be active mobility time. It can actually be, are you sitting down during the day, and is that contributing to your hip tightness? You know, how much are you moving around during the day? Are you doing a repetitive action that is kind of like, you know, really hard on your body, and then when you go running, it gets exasperated? So there are a lot of things that really could contribute to why the injury is occurring. And for me, as an example, like we both stand up during the day. There's a reason we're standing up right now. We stand up, and the main reason I think is because when I sit down, and I'm sure you can say the same, when I sit down all day, it really, really affects my running because I start getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and the 10 minutes of mobility I have a hard time undoing all that.
Yeah, you really, really do. So let's get into some of your guys' questions. You know, we talked bigger picture stuff, and remember, we are doing live calls. If you want to walk through this with us online and you're able to step away, there is a phone number in the description, 415-666-2861. All you need is your phone and a quiet place from an audio perspective, and we would love to chat with you and go through this. And I think we can do this in a way that is respectful of you and sort of your privacy. You share what you feel comfortable sharing, and we do this in a way that's beneficial to all of us.
Totally.
But while you guys are thinking about calling in, let's see here.
Edward's in there. Tell Edward to call in.
What's up, Edward?
Break the ice. Break the ice.
Jack Chewy says, first timer here. I had a car accident 13 months ago, affected my back. This week ran for the first time since accident. Body is obviously not used to it. Tips for how to start running again. Yes, so when we've had some sort of massive injury, which is different from a lot of the overuse injuries that we get tied into, a lot of times when you have that layoff, your general fitness just kind of goes to mush.
And not just fitness, but your structural fitness.
Exactly, like your strength, your range of motion, everything stiffens up, and then running gets more difficult. So this is where, balancing running with a lot of strength training and cross training is really beneficial.
Yeah.
So, for you as part of getting back running, maybe right now it's like what Craig did, like I'm only gonna run 1 to 2 miles at a time, but I'm gonna balance that with some more rigorous strength training sessions, maybe some sessions on the bike or the rower or swimming or hiking, like anything, just to get the body moving again, increasing your range of motion and getting strong.
One of the things I was just thinking about as I was contemplating somebody who's been in a car accident is that assessing where the structural weaknesses might be, whether it's because of the injury itself or just because of the atrophy of whatever body part you've been resting, it's a really difficult thing to do that while you're running. Like while you're running, you're thinking about running and you might see these lagging indicators of pain or feel them, but it's not gonna show you that maybe you have tightness in your hip or that one leg is dragging a little bit because you got hit or whatever it is. It's very difficult to diagnose, especially self-diagnose that while you're running. But one of the reasons we love strength training as both a way to balance you out and kind of get around some of those I would say asymmetries maybe, is that it's a nice place to actually figure out what those asymmetries are. So if you're in a push-up or a squat and you get down in a squat and you realize, hey, like I can't get down in this position and my left leg is wobbly, like that is a good place for an assessment as well as I won't say cure, but a way to get out of that box. So when you look at, do any of our strength training programs, and we always talk about movement, and we talk about how the movement should look, what are the kind of movement faults and errors that you might be encountering. The important thing there is if you encounter something where, hey, I can't get my hand overhead and go down into a squat, it's because I have a restriction here. Well, now you know the part that you're supposed to be addressing, and you can sure as bet that those inefficiencies will come out in any endurance sport that you participate in, because that is what happens with endurance sports, and specifically running.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So none of you guys are calling.
Edward, you're supposed to call in.
Edward, if you can call in and say a little chat, that'd be awesome. We can actually talk about some of the things you've been working on as you get ready for Boston.
But you know what? Everybody's like, I'm at work. I'm supposed to be working.
I know. I'm supposed to be working right now. I know, we totally get it. Dustin says, to do or not to do static stretching prior to running. So generally, as like a rule of thumb, I like to save the static stuff at the end of my session or the end of the day when I have finished my moving, my body's a little bit warmer, more limber, and that static stretching, I can go a little deeper, it's a little more beneficial. Prior to the workout, earlier in the day.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Do we need the headphones?
We do.
Prior to the workout, I always like dynamic stuff.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Thoughts there. Hey man, If it feels fine and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, it's the other
then
video.
You should
Oh,
be
no.
Okay
Yeah.
to run.
Hold on, guys.
Wait, we're fixing our audio. 1 second.
With the normal routine, a lot of people
We
want to
got
know
2
whether
calls.
it's after treatment or more so.
There we go. We're trying to get a call.
All right.
Who do we have on
Who do we
here?
have here?
This is Carrie Hale.
Hey, Carrie, hang on 1 second. We're going to be echoey. Don't say anything for a moment.
There we go. There we go. We're getting our headphones in.
1 second. Give me a second.
Just getting the sound right. Hello, hello.
Give me a second. I got to connect this. This should have happened beforehand, but
We're just connecting our headphones, guys.
always
something.
There we go.
Okay.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
There we go. All right,
All
Carrie,
right.
can you hear us?
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Perfect. So, do we need to get their volume up,
So
the Skype call?
she's up. Okay, now everybody should be able to hear you.
All right.
And you can hear us. We did it.
We did it. Good job. High five.
All right. Carrie, it's great to actually finally talk to you in real time as
I
opposed to
know.
seeing your name.
This is so awesome.
But
I
you've been
know.
with us
Oh
for
my
a
gosh,
while
it's
now,
so
welcome.
great to talk to you guys too. It's awesome that you guys are taking calls now. That's super fun.
We are excited because you know what? This is for you guys, but it's also for us because we like connecting with you. So
Yeah, it's
awesome.
totally
Where are you
fun.
signing in from again? I can't remember.
You know what? I'm from the Boise, Idaho area.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, we went to Boise once. Remember?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Or was that 3?
Maybe 3 years ago.
Did you guys race in Boise?
It wasn't a race actually. We went to meet with somebody who's helping us out on the kind of like business side of the running experience. This is before we really even had a business. We just had one product that we had just started selling, and we didn't know what this was going to become. It was just me and Nate in a room, and we were with our iPhones. So,
But Carrie, I've been up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, to race the Ironman there a couple years, and it's really beautiful. I really, really love it.
I've been up to Coeur d'Alene to watch an Ironman. It's almost as rigorous.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you are just chiming in, we are talking about injuries, how to come back from injuries. We're also taking live calls. There's a number just down below, and we have Carrie Hale on the line. So Carrie, what can we do for you today?
Well, first I just have to tell you that I love, okay, so like the smoothie thing is awesome. Craig, that I totally drink my smoothies out of a jar now because of you. And I don't know why, but it totally makes my smoothie taste better. So I highly recommend the jar thing. I don't know why, but
can I give you
okay.
my advanced tip?
That's awesome.
My advanced tip is that you get the I get these mason jars, and then you get the white plastic covers, so it can be a to-go mug.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
Next
okay.
step, next level.
That's the next step. That's like step 2 of smoothie in a jar.
Mason jar. I love
Sounds
it.
good.
So mason jar smoothies.
So what is going on with your running right now, Carrie?
So I bought a pair of Ultra shoes, and I love them from Nate's recommendation. Probably one like my favorite running shoes ever, but I've developed plantar fasciitis, so I'm just wondering, like, what's the relation between, like, that zero-drop shoe? Can it cause plantar fasciitis? And, I mean, I've had plantar fasciitis before, so I'm doing all, the things, rolling out and doing all of that good stuff. But I noticed that it's, like, starting to get worse. I have a half marathon in 3 weeks, and so I hate to change shoes now, but I'm, like, that zero-drop. Maybe if you could just, like, talk about that zero-drop a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, the change from a lot of shoes, when we talk about zero drop, guys, we're talking about the differential between the heel and the forefoot. Yeah, do you want to grab a shoe? And how much height there is. And if you were to get an example of something that has an extreme heel drop, it would be something like a high-heeled shoe, right? Where the heel's super, super high and my forefoot's like this. And basically what that does is it shortens the Achilles. My Achilles doesn't have to be pressed on the ground. I'm kind of propped up on my toes. So when you go down in shoes that have a lower heel drop to something like an ultra shoe that is 0, right? This is a 0 drop shoe right here. This is a New Balance shoe. This is about 5 or 6 millimeters, so not that extreme, but you can kind of tell the difference a little bit. You're basically lengthening that Achilles tendon a little bit, and you're also putting a little bit of stress on the whole posterior chain, including the plantar fascia. So that's a big part where some of that plantar fascia tenderness can come in.
And it's interesting, I mean, I never thought about it this way until I met Nate, but you can think about your, the back side of your body is like almost like a ribbon of muscle that goes all the way up. So that is your plantar fascia underneath your feet, goes up through the Achilles, soleus, calf, all the way into your hamstrings, your glute, even your lower back. This whole thing is like one connected piece. And so you may only feel pain in one area, but oftentimes that's just the frayed part of the rope.
Yeah,
that's just the weakest link right there. And you might have problems, not problems, but there might be something that's happening further up the chain.
Totally. So we can throw a few things out there, Carrie. One thing kind of per Craig's point is that we need to pay attention to beyond just your feet and your calves and your ankle and work further up into the upper calf, into the hamstrings, into the glutes. That's a huge part.
Yeah. So what do you think she should do? Should she change shoes?
So 3 weeks from now, Carrie, how long have you been in the ultras, and what did you used to run in?
No, I used to run in Saucony Glides. I guess that was the shoe I had before my ultras. And let's see, I bought these probably in November. I wanted to try a trail shoe just because we have snow and stuff around here, which they're awesome. They're awesome trail shoes. But yeah, so like I said, I really like them. Like, I like the feel of them a lot. I love that 0 drop. I've never had 0 drop before, and I can tell the difference just in technique and performance. But like I said, the plantar fasciitis.
So if you're in a trail shoe, I would assume that you're probably doing a little bit of like hills or elevation gain you're running, or even just not being on a even ground. And when you're doing that, you're going uphill and stuff, you're asking even more of the flexibility and strength of that posterior chain, specifically in your feet and your lower calves. And so, in terms of moving to another shoe, I'll tell you that for me, in the past, there was a time where I had a problem with one of my Achilles, and I even put like a little heel cup in it, which you can just look at as like the opposite of adding 0 drop. You're just like giving a little bit of elevation to your heel so that you're just alleviating some of the pain. And I think one of the main things, and I'm interested to hear what Nate says here, is you don't want to continue to do damage, especially going into a race where you're going to have a kind of a long run ahead of you. You don't want to continue to do damage. So even though you might like ultras, and you don't have to make a permanent change one way or another, but ultras and there being 0 drop are going to ask more of your body. They're going to ask more of you in terms of strength and flexibility than maybe your previous shoes. So if you need to go, I would say if you need to go and move into your old shoe or a different pair of shoes for this time period and go back to the ultras, but just be cognizant when you go back to them that you're going to have to do mobility and strength work.
Yeah, Carrie, my gut feeling here is a good balance. Guys, sometimes this is hard if you can do it. Sometimes we get so fixed on one shoe that we wear the same shoe all the time no matter what. I think ideally we would have a quiver of shoes that we would rotate in through the week, because your body's going to move slightly differently and respond to different shoes. So having an ultra 0 drop shoe for 1 or 2 of your training sessions, and then moving something that's a little bit more supportive. And that's actually what I do right now. Like, I will purposely give myself a shoe that has a little bit more height in the heel, just to give my calves and Achilles a break. And that allows me to kind of sustainably handle more mileage just for where my body's at right now.
And keep in mind that we're not telling you to buy more shoes. Just maybe instead of buying them in serial, you buy a couple pairs of shoes, and there's an expense with that, but then you don't, they'll last you a lot longer because you're not using them every day, and you can kind of keep track of what your mileage is if you want to do that. But you'll feel when they go flat, and that oftentimes it's really nice to have different pairs of shoes because you can see the difference of like, a fresh pair of shoes, an old pair of shoes, one with 0 drop, one not with 0 drop.
Totally. Carrie, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great advice. I like the advice of going from a 0 drop to to a not zero drop shoe. I think that sounds like really good advice. And I do think it's good to alternate shoes.
Yeah, that can be really helpful. Another thing, you know, and just before we sign off here, because we want to make time for some other callers, would be to think about some of the strengthening exercises. Yep. You know, because it's like maybe there needs to be some specific, you know, foot, calf, and ankle work. It sounds like you're already doing a good job there, but like let's double down on the type of calf and ankle stuff. You know, single leg balance, hip stability and strength, like all that specific, what I call like the nook and cranny muscles, not the major ones. Like that can make a big difference, and you can start to do that today. That'll be beneficial for the next couple weeks.
And look up the chain. Work on your hamstrings, work on your glutes, work on your calves as well. You are in luck because our coach Kirk has just posted a video, I think it was yesterday, on plantar fasciitis on our Instagram channel. If you have not followed us on Instagram, we actually have different content on Instagram than we have on YouTube, so you should definitely be following us there and check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Harry.
Awesome. Hey, thanks. You guys are the best.
All right. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Carrie, for chiming in. Guys, we are talking about coming back from injuries today. It is 12:37, which means we are about 21 minutes away from our giveaway.
Well, quick math there.
I know, right? I know, right? I had to think about it. We are doing a book, giving away Jonathan Beverly's book, Your Best Stride, from last week. So stick around for that drawing. One of you guys will get sent a copy. I think we're doing 2 copies.
If you're not in that drawing and you want to be in that drawing, just go on our YouTube page and find last week's live show.
There you go.
And it's honestly it's still open for another 20 minutes.
But this week
the Gleam link is below, and we keep it open for a full week, so all the people who watch the show,
if you're listening exactly, you can still enter. We're giving away a Run Territory, the Run Experience t-shirt. This is a one-off, unique design. We're not making any more of these things. We have a handful of t-shirts left. We want to give one away to you, as well as a pair of Bluetooth wireless headphones. They're sweat-proof. You get both. Pretty good deal just by entering the link below. Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we did not discuss our upcoming Surf's Up Virtual 5K. That's actually one of the things we ask you to check out when you enter. You will get this medal in the mail, 29 bucks. Shazam, it looks just like that. And it is happening next weekend. Yeah. So go ahead and check that out. Man, this is pretty good. We're getting a lot of questions today, huh? What else do we got here? Jeff Wiley asks, how to find a good schedule. Currently short 5 to 10K run on Tuesday, fast run 5 to 10K on Thursday, and long run on Sunday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I work at a gym doing OCR, which I imagine is obstacle course racing.
Oh, nice.
Ninja.
American Ninja.
Curious to see what that is.
Yeah.
And functional fitness. Does that sound okay?
Sounds like you're getting a lot of different modalities in, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because you may not realize how much that is going to do for helping prevent overuse injuries and just kind of around a lot of times that people say, oh, I didn't get injured when I was younger, when I was a kid. And the truth is, when you're a kid, you just have such a huge vocabulary of movement because you're throwing frisbees and running around and playing on bikes and swing sets. And then all of a sudden we get to this thing where our exercise of the day is putting one foot in the other for 1 hour in the morning, and that's it. And so that variety of movement that you're introducing will do lots of stuff for you. I would be remiss if I didn't mention our programs.
That's true.
Our whole company is based off of giving people programs, and we do the same thing, which is try to introduce lots of modalities of movement as part of the programming. So if you have not checked out our training club, I know so many of you guys who are signed on here are already training club members.
Which we love.
And so if Jeff, if you haven't checked that out, whether you have a goal or not, I would say if you are not entering in a race, jump in and do our weekly running tune-up, which is new workouts that come out every single week. Otherwise, check out our programs and good stuff there.
And Jeff, there may be times where this is a really good base for you and you feel pretty well balanced. You may find though that if you want to specialize more as a runner, there are going to be times where you're going to need to run more miles. But as my t-shirt says, you got to earn that shit, right? And it sounds like you're already doing it.
You changed your shirt.
I did. That was my early workout shirt. I hadn't showered yet.
Okay, gotcha.
I know
we had the same shirt on this morning.
We were totally twinning earlier today. That's great. But making sure that as any of you as any of you guys up your miles, that is super important. And one of you mentioned earlier, I can't remember who it was, I'm going to look for it, talked about being injured with runner's knee after doing 3 marathons in 2 months.
It's a lot of marathons.
What do you think about that?
Look, there are a lot of different ways you can do marathons. In some ways, you can just treat it like a long run, in which case, you know, maybe doing 3 in a couple months is doable. But like with all racing, and it's not just marathons, it can be a 5K. It depends on what your base level fitness is, what your injury history is. Any time that you take your body to an extreme level, there's a certain amount of risk involved, and you have to admit that when you are putting that much stress on your body, there's risk. So what are you doing to earn those miles?
Yeah, to mitigate.
Yeah.
And those are things where we can come in, where we put out so much content for you guys to be helpful. Ask us, email us, comment, and we'll point you in the right direction. We know you're motivated and you want to get better. Linda says, my first time in a chat, very cool.
Nice.
25 days to Boston. Yeah, let's give a holler for you Boston marathon runners.
You know, I forget sometimes that there are a lot of people that are listening that are not actually chatting with us.
I know.
You know, we see the numbers afterwards of like hundreds of people online across all the platforms.
I know, it's so cool.
And yeah, that's awesome. So
but don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Say
Just
hello.
say hi. That's it.
But Linda says, I hurt my back doing planks. Second day at chiropractor, and I'm better, but will miss last long run. You know what, Linda? At one level, no one training a workout is going to make or break you in a long cycle, right? The benefit of being consistent with your workouts is that if there's that one workout you have to miss or change, you've built this mountain of fitness on everything else. So when you feel a little scared or uncertain, just think and reflect on all the hard work you've already done, and know that your training is a result of the accumulation of everything, not just one thing.
And I would say, and this is, you know, when we're running, oftentimes we think like, hey, like I'm doing the major activity where like my mobility is kind of like, you know, I'll add it on there. Strength training, I'll just add it on there. We, in all of our programs, we try to make it integral parts of it because we know like how effective that can be. But if you are, you know, having to miss your long run, take that same dedication, take that same time, the same effort, get up at the same time. And whenever you do, allocate the same amount of time that you would be out on that long run and do other things. Focus on your nutrition, your hydration, your mobility, your strength training, anything that you can do that is around that arena. And I promise you, there are places that you can focus your attention, even if you're not doing specifically what's on the plan, that will really, really benefit your race.
Yeah, really, really, really. So a few other things here. And guys, we still have time. Chime on in. We'll take some more live calls. We did have someone else who tried to call in at the same time. We couldn't take it, but we will take it now. 415-666-2861.
Yeah, let's do
Jump
one more live
in.
call.
We'll walk through it. Always super fun. Let me see here.
And Carrie, thank you for calling in. That was such a treat to talk to you after so long of seeing your name online.
Totally.
Yeah. I want to go back to your agenda.
Yes, let's go revisit a few things here. So, you know, speaking of Boston, Coach Holly and I are going to be there live, and we are hosting an event on Boston Common on Saturday, April 14th. I'm going to give you guys the link to sign up to you know, check in on our little Facebook event.
I want to go to the weekly running tune-up.
We would, and I want to talk about our challenge as well. So I just posted the event there, but we are hosting live thing, totally free. It's just a way for you guys to connect with us and vice versa. We are going to do a warm-up together because that's always super fun. We're going to review the Boston Marathon course, allow some of you guys who are more experienced in the Boston Marathon share tips with those of you guys who are running it for the first time. We'll do a 1 mile shakeout run. And then for those of you guys who want to chat a little bit longer, we will go and treat you guys all to some coffee and a little more conversation, which we're super stoked about. So that's going to be fun. I know, we're so bummed, Craig, that you can't make it this time, but we're really glad that you are able to
March 20th. Here it is.
Relax and take some time there.
Yeah.
Now, another thing we've been doing is we actually have this Facebook group called the Weekly Running Tune-Up. And it is a group that a lot of our athletes are in for some of our programs, but really for those of you guys who are committed and you are interested in working on yourself and in earning your miles, we allow you in. And one of the things that we do is allow you guys to connect and converse with each other and share a lot of tips, is that we put out a weekly challenge. And I do this every Tuesday, and you've pulled it up right here. It's kind of playing in the background. And I've done some different things on planks. A lot of these things are just to get you thinking physically, kind of a fun thing to do that usually takes 5 minutes or less. This week, the challenge were wall walks.
Yep.
The ability to start in a plank with your feet up against the wall, hands on the ground, and to slowly walk your feet up the wall, and then to walk your hands in until you get all the way to a handstand position, and then walk back down. It's a fun way to introduce handstands and a real safe way to do it.
Yep.
And get people upside down.
And if you have not been in a handstand position for a long time, it's going to be a little interesting to be upside down for the first time in a while. I remember I had a really hard time with it initially. This group is totally free to enter the weekly running tune-up. It's the name of our group that we allow, anybody who's part of the TRE community can enter. We also have a weekly running tune-up product, which is $10 a month, and those are the workouts that you get to come out every week. So feel free, if you liked the challenges that Nate's giving you, jump in and try some of the workouts.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, Edward says earlier, motivation is not the same thing as discipline.
That is true.
That is interesting, right? He says we may be motivated to make a change, but do we have the discipline to do it?
Coming from a guy who just qualified from Boston.
I know. Very, very exciting. So he will not be out there for 2018, but for 2019, he's going to be there. Well, let me see. Edward says, yeah, right. As long as you don't mind footprints on your wall, you can wear socks, find a wall outside. I know, some of you, plank problems, right? What are you going to do? Yeah, Edward says, love the weekly challenges, fresh and exciting. Lloyd asked a question. My daughter was a high school athlete and tells me to avoid runs while rain due to injury risk. Do you agree? It's raining in the OC today. From a slipping standpoint, if you're worried about slipping and falling, I could see that.
I love running in the rain.
But I think if your shoes have a reasonable grip and everything else is good, like, I don't really see any problems with that.
I mean,
I'd be careful.
I don't find that running in the rain is particularly dangerous. I mean, when you're running in the sun, there's problems with that too.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it depends on whether you enjoy it. I will say, dress for the occasion. We need to have an equivalent of running in the snow. We had that video of how to run in the snow. Running in the rain.
Now,
I love running in the rain.
There are some things about running in the snow and the ice that's interesting, especially if you're in the middle of heavy training and all of a sudden you're forced to run in like a snowstorm.
Yeah.
And you're like slipping every single time a little bit. Like, that could put a little extra strain on your Achilles and calf, and that could be a risk. But I would like to know what the reasoning is for that. But I don't know if I can kind of
your
see
skin, shockingly, is waterproof. Yeah. So get on out there.
Yeah, Jeff says, if raining drainage is important, shoes full of water equals blisters. Well, that certainly can be the case if you gotta, drill some holes in your shoes.
Actually, I ran the steeplechase in college, and we actually did have holes in our shoes. Like, steeplechase shoes are basically track spikes with holes for drainage, because you go through the water pit, and then you want the water to drain out as quickly as possible. So, yeah.
Totally. Chuck just said, hey, fingers crossed, I'm coming back from a 2-year lapse after severe hip injury, bursitis or labrum tear. In November, I started dedicated core yoga and your hip stretch routines.
Awesome.
That's really, really great. Building yourselves up from the ground up. That's super cool. Are we of this little small screen?
Oh, yeah, we can go back.
We can go back to the regular screen.
Sorry.
Let's see here. You guys are doing great. We have about 8 more minutes till we do our live drawing of Jonathan Beverly's Run Your Best Stride book. Super cool. And you can still enter the Gleam link for next week's, which is going to be a very cool TRE t-shirt, one-off design, never making any more, and a pair of wireless headphones, just for one person. Super cool, right? What else are we here? So what else did I have here on my agenda to discuss? We got a weekly challenge, 10 quality wall walks. Can you guys do it? Super fun thing to do at the end. You could do this outside. We try to do challenges that don't really require a lot of equipment.
Yep.
You can kind of do anywhere.
I like that little category you have, what we're listening to.
Yeah, what we're listening to.
I got a couple.
Do you? Okay, so Craig and I are both big podcasters. I'm driving around a lot, and I try to make my commute time more interesting with some different things. So what are you listening to?
I like this podcast called Embedded.
Yeah.
They have seasons that come out. It's through NPR, and they basically take a news story, and as opposed to news stories giving you like, hey, this is like the thing that's really popping right now, and we're going to give you things that you're going to read, they go deep, and they interview a bunch of people and say, hey, what's the news story behind the scenes? So they had this whole, the reason I heard about it is they have this whole host of things that they've done on the the Russia investigation with the Trump campaign,
Oh,
and that
wow.
got me interested to understand, hey, what's really going on? Like, how much do we actually know as opposed to the sound bites and clips that you hear online?
Yeah.
And then I went back farther, and it turns out they have a whole bunch of episodes on just different topics of things that happened. I listened to this one about a biker gang shootout in Austin that was like so illuminating on like biker gang culture, and like they interviewed the people, and like I don't know, it was almost like real life movie stuff. It was
really
great.
cool.
I love it. Embedded is the name of the podcast.
I read this book a couple years ago. I think it was my wife who read it first, and then she gave it to me. It was something like Angel or No Angel.
Okay.
And it was about not FBI. I think it was like ATF. One of the
Alternate
other
vehicles? No, AT.
No, it's like like something tobacco and
Firearms?
fire.
Alcohol, tobacco, firearms?
Is that it?
I don't know.
Something like that. Anyway, sorry guys. One of those. I'm totally butchering those. But anyway, he was an informant that worked his way into the Hells Angels.
Oh, gotcha.
And he
gotcha.
started as like the low-level prospect, and has like worked his way into the club, and talked about this like weird double life he lived, where he would like go home on the weekends with his normal wife and everything, and then he would live this crazy life with the biker gangs, and like have to do some pretty crazy stuff to get into the
biker gangs. I don't want to get into it.
We don't want to get too far.
This is not a show about biker gangs or podcasts, but it's interesting. I thought it was fun.
Oh man,
what are you listening to?
So I've been listening to a few running podcasts, which I really enjoy. My two favorites right now actually are Mario Frioli's Morning Shakeout podcast.
Nice.
He's had some really great guests on there, including like Shalane Flanagan. He's had Des Linden. He just had Dathan Ritzenheim. So a lot of like high-profile runners who are all going to be at the Boston Marathon this year. And I haven't listened to it yet, but he just had Rich Roll on this week, which is another big podcaster out there. And just the Rich Roll podcast, which is like super long.
Yeah.
You know, like he's kind of like Tim Ferriss. He does these like 2+ hour conversations, all depending. So I'll kind of listen to it in chunks. He did this interview with this guy named James Altucher.
I know James.
Do you know James?
I've emailed with him before, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
so
he's in the entrepreneurial circuit.
Yeah, so this guy James is not a runner, but he has just done some crazy things. Like he had a friend basically sell or give away all of his stuff in his apartment, and for 2 years he lived out of Airbnbs with just basically like a shoulder bag, and he had his like phone, and this and that, and lately one of the things he's been doing, which was crazy, was getting into stand-up comedy himself.
Yep.
And one of the things he said, which was cool, and to me there's parallels with like the athlete and the running side with what he's doing. He has always been a public speaker, pretty funny guy. He hosts his own podcast. He's great, and he's gotten into stand-up comedy. And he says the things that make you funny speaking in front of an audience so they're to see you as a keynote, very different from trying to be a stand-up comic in another situation.
I can imagine.
So really understanding all the different techniques and the ways that stand-up comics do it, and he's like being this total student about it. But one of the things he found that's super interesting is that all of these skills that he's acquiring as a stand-up comic now, or an aspiring one, are now translating to his public speaking, his writing, just his way of viewing the world and looking at people. Super cool.
Yeah, I think that is true of how I approach running and how I approach athletics, and then taking that into how we approach our business.
Yeah.
Taking like and even just specific stuff. Like I'm into music, and I sing and I play guitar, and like breathing is such a huge part of singing. It's a huge part of speaking. It's a huge part of running. It's a huge part of meditating.
You're better at like speaking diaphragmatically than me.
You know,
I go like
a
deeper bass than I can.
And I still have like way far to go, but I mean, when we talk on video and stuff and we're in crowded places, it really does change things.
It makes things change.
And that is the same skill that we want when we're running in terms of breathing deep into your diaphragm.
Totally.
It's
kind of cool. It really crosses over. So some of you guys are chiming in with what you are listening to.
I did the nose breathing mild this morning.
Oh, boom. Tone says, I'm listening to the Sage Running Podcast.
Awesome.
You know, we actually want to talk to Sage. I'm going to try to meet up with him in Boston.
Oh, nice.
I would just love to connect with the
cool.
guy. The Rambling Runner, the Strength Running Podcast, that's really good. Trail Runner Nation.
Yeah.
There are so many running podcasts out there. That's so awesome.
If only there was a TRE podcast.
If only there was. I know. Jeff says, I'll check those out. Anyone else listening to any podcasts out there? We got a few other things. Jeff says, good app for podcast on Android, preferably free, but cheap is okay too. Thinking of changing the music during runs. You know, podcasts are free. So you should be able to kind of get this anywhere. A lot of times you could go to like their website and they'll have like a SoundCloud or Stitcher, and there's Google Play. I can't remember what it is.
I use Overcast, but that's on, I'm not sure, they must have an Android app as well. I use the Overcast on iPhone. I don't know the Android best one right now.
Yeah, totally.
Lizzie runs far. I haven't said hi to her yet. Good to see Lizzie.
Hey, she just got in. What's going on? Definitely
Lizzie runs far, and Running Geek Girl, I need to call in at some point.
I know.
Maybe next week when we have time.
We got to get you guys on.
Because Carrie Hale called in, and you guys have been around about the same amount of time. So
seriously,
I think you should up the ante.
Seriously, guys. 2 more minutes until we do our live giveaway.
Okay, gotcha.
We had a few more questions here. We can hit these up real quick. John Hudson says, plantar fasciitis, can it be cured with deep tissue massage? Does breaking up the scar tissue work? It is one part of a multi-part strategy.
The simple answer is no, because it's only one part.
It's only one part.
But yes is the answer as being a part of the equation.
Right. You know, having someone else get their hands on you to assess the extent of the damage, to put in a little work that you don't necessarily know how to do yourself, super, super valuable. That's only really a home run when it's tied with other aspects of your training and healing process, which is strength, stability, increasing range of motion, increased thoughtfulness about how you're running.
Yeah, and
all those things.
And kind of way to think about it is, you know, it wasn't a lack of the massage that got you into that spot in the first place, right? So just adding it in there might alleviate some symptoms and will do good stuff for you. And we totally recommend that you do it. It's the same as doing self-massage, like getting a lacrosse ball out. Again, I'm gonna pump that video from Kirk because he talks about lacrosse ball. The most recent video on our Instagram channel is specifically about this. So you can do that stuff. You do deep tissue massage, but you gotta. There's more to it than that, and you want to dig in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, there really is. I like that. That's good. Carla Reyes says, "What can I do about this pain in the inside of my ankle? Any tips, recommendations? Going to a therapist out of the picture, can't afford it." So there are a few different things you can do without assessing or diagnosing anything. You know, one concept that we like to think about, and this is something that we borrowed from Kelly Starr at Mobility WOD, that's a great resource to go into, to go in for deeper resource understandings, is to take whatever pain point you have and work above the issue and below the issue. So if you got something in your ankle, what's going on in the calves and the shins above, and what's going on below in the feet and the ankles. So mobility around the area and the calves and the shins is huge. Rolling out your feet is huge, as well as really working on strengthening and stabilizing your ankles and increasing range of motion, right? That's the way we tackle this. Don't run if it's painful. Add in a lot more cross training, but don't be all or nothing with your running either. Even like some short little 400-meter runs with some other drills and other strength stuff is a nice in-between way, and you can build yourself back up.
All right, we have...
So our winner of last week's giveaway...
Yeah, you got the book, signed book from our friend Jonathan Beverly, is Heather Stringfellow from Sherwood. What is AR?
Sherwood. Is that Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Arizona is AZ.
AK is Alaska.
AK is Alaska. I think it's Arkansas.
It's Arkansas.
All right, well, either way, Sherwood.
Right.
Heather Stringfellow, congratulations. You are the winner of your best stride.
So what you need to do is email Nate at The Run Experience.
I don't know if I have it here. I was going to show people the copy of the book.
Oh, okay.
So check it out. I do. I got it.
You got it? All right, here you go.
Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. So this is a copy of the book that you get to win, Your Best Stride. It's super rad. I'm a couple chapters in. I really dig it. Really goes nicely with a lot of our videos and training and philosophy.
Yeah, you'll love it. Thank you guys so much for signing in. Carrie, thank you for calling in. We will be back at you again next week. Don't worry, we have an outro for you, so stay tuned for just about 20 seconds. Anything else to say? Guys, injuries are a really tough thing. I'm glad we got to dig into it a little bit more. There's lots more we can say about it. There's lots more questions I'm sure that you guys have. We have an immense amount of resources on this for free on our YouTube page and on Instagram. And then, of course, we have an injury prevention product which goes even deeper and gives you long lists of different things you can do for particular injuries. So Highly recommend you check all those things out. And of course, thank you again for signing on
Yes.
and being part of the TRE family.
Thanks, guys.
We will see you guys next week.
Next week.